Okay, so we're going to have a look at this table and we're going to create a bookings price thing. So for this, we've said that the minibus tour was £12 per trip, and then they were charged £1.50 per ice cream. You can see we've got a table here for the bookings, and we've also got a table for the ice creams. So regardless of what type of ice cream they have, you can see here there's 5 ice creams for booking 11, 3 for booking 16, 3 for booking 14, 1 for 19, 2 for 20, 1 for 15. And there's some bookings that haven't had any ice lollies. So this is what we're going to work with. So we've got those 2 tables. And what we're going to do is we're going to set up a query to get us a final price. So we're going to go to create and create query wizard. Simple query wizard. And we're going to take, first of all, from table. Make sure you're getting it from table, especially if you've been playing with this. We've got lots of queries. We'll take it from table bookings, all of the records there. And then table ICEs, all of the records there. So anywhere where you've got a child table, there's linking, you want to do a count of these. There's a few steps to it to get it correct to what we want, but we're going to work with those. So next, at this stage, usually I would click through, but I want to take a summary because what I wanted to do is count the records rather than showing me them all. So count records. Okay. And that'll do. Unique date and time is fine, and finish. And that's the query. And you can see here I've got a few issues with it. This one where I had 5 ice creams, that's fine. This one I had 3. These are fine. But what about the trips that haven't had, so this booking these had no ice lollies, and I need to show them. I need to make it show the zeros as well. So there's a couple of changes we need to make. There's also this first ice lolly, first of the ice lollies. I don't need this information in. I don't need to know which ice lolly I had first. I just need to know a count. So I'm going to go ahead and make some changes in this query. So I'm going to go first to design view. And the very first thing I'm going to do is I'll leave them in case they're in here. So one of the things on queries, when we start removing fields, it can cause problems because sometimes it's the actual maths, or if you like, is working out on it. So what I'm going to do in here is first isolate. I'm just going to click on here so it's not showing it on my query. So first isolate, the types of isolate. Every time I do something, I'm going to right click and save and just run it just to make sure. You can see it's got rid of those extra fields I didn't want. That's fine. Oh, sorry, not to go into that. Okay, so I've got rid of those. And you can see here it's created an expression for count view. Now we don't get this without this. You've got this total row in, and we don't get that when we create a normal query. So, but we're going to kind of use that. And what we're going to do is this one's called count of ices. I'm going to create a new one here. It's going to be an expression, so let's call it an expression. I'm going to call it total price. And I'm going to make this a little bit bigger, but in fact, I'll go into the query builder slide. So I'll do it in here. Oops, made that a little bit too big then. So total price, I've got my colon, which separates the name of the field to the basic the expression that I'm going to be using. So then I'm going to have in here. So what I want it to be is, well, I want it to start. So I'm going to put everything inside. No, I'll just start with, so I'm going to say 12. First of all, it's £12 per trip. So that's fine. I want it £12 per trip. Plus, what I want to do is take that last field, we've got the count, and I want to, I'm just going to copy that. So come back a field. I want that count of ices. So I kind of want that. But what I want it to do is count up. So I'm going to say, put it in brackets this bit. So I'm going to say count. Instead of saying, so a new round bracket. So instead of saying count, just star, what I'm going to say is I'm going to put my square brackets in. This is allowing me to take the fields. So ice. So I'm literally choosing this field in here. So ices, ng square brackets, dot, new square bracket, ice ID. Close the square brackets. So that's effectively said count all of those. Count all of those. Close the brackets there because I've got a round set of brackets around that. And then I'm going to say here, asterisk times £1.50, so 1.5. And I've got the one set of brackets around the count, and I should have one set of brackets there. That should be correct. quite hard to get this fully correct, so sometimes it's easy to make mistakes within here. So, but it'll soon tell you when you try and save it. So at that point, I'm just going to right click and save and run it and see if we get anything. Okay, so we can see here it's starting to add up correctly. I'm getting the correct maths in here. So this one has just had one ice lolly, £13.50. This one's had a few, so you can see the prices going differently. But what it's not showing me where someone's had no ice lollies, the £12 for the trip. So I need to make some changes there. You can see it's got a nice total price up here. So a couple of changes we need to go back to design view. So one of the price things I need in here is I'm going to go back a field. And this one, see here, this one's got stack count asterisks, and this one's got all of them. And also in here, my join properties. A couple of things here. So my join properties in here, I'm going to right click, look at the join properties. At the moment, it's only including fields where the fields are equal, where the keys are equal. Well, if they haven't had an ice cream, there's not going to be an equal field there. So what I need to say is include all records from bookings and only those where it's ice cream. So this one, I'll click on that, click on OK. I'll save that to see, make sure I haven't made any problems with it so far. And I'm going to run it. And we're still here. It's showing all of the records, but I'm getting a little bit weird here because these haven't had any ice creams, but it's given me the one, but it's got the maths correct. It's because this one is correct, but this one isn't. So we're going to go back into design, but at least it's showing me all the bookings now. And this time it's here. So here you can see here I've got count ICEs ICE ID. So this is counting how many of those records there are, how many IDs there are. Whereas this one was just doing a generic count, and that's the problem. It's doing a generic count. It's just going to go, well, there's a booking record there. So I'm going to get rid of the asterisks in there, and I'm going to do exactly the same as I've done on this side. I'm using my square brackets to denote the table, the ICEs. Close the square bracket. Dot, open square bracket, ICE ID, and close the square bracket. Make sure I'm not putting curly brackets in here. And then hopefully that's still inside the brackets. I shouldn't have broken it at all. So, fine. So I'm going to go and save that and then run it again. Notice I'm running it after each time just to see where I'm going with things. So I seem to have broken my total on here. I think I've clicked on the don't show. But notice now I've got the count of ice lollies is 0. So I'm picking up the ones who haven't had an ice lollies. And that's what I wanted. I wanted to show all of the bookings without the ice lollies. So let's go back into the design again. And yeah, I clicked on this accidentally. So the show. So we do want to show it. We've got the total price. There's one more thing I want to do with this as well, because at the minute this is far too huge. Let me just make that a bit smaller because that's going to be really annoying me. If I have to, no, I've made it too big that I can't even go and shrink it anymore. So I wanted to find a bit smaller, but there we go. Take that one. Anyway, this field. So if you look up here, we've got property sheets, and I've also got format. So at the minute it was showing like 13.5 and things. It doesn't make a lot of sense. So the format in here, we can make it much nicer. Change that to currency, whatever you're adding up, or if you've just got numbers in there. Change that to currency. I'm going to save that, file save, go and look at it, and data sheet view now, and hey presto. So you can see here, if they haven't had any ice lollies, I'm still getting the £12 for the trip itself, for the bus tour, and I'm also getting the prices for the ice lollies for those who have had ice lollies. You can see here they've had one ice lolly, it's just added the £1.50 onto it. Here they've had 2 ice lollies, and it's added £3 correctly. And that's it. And I can then go and make a report from this query. And that was it for there.